Good afternoon. Good to see everyone here. Certainly want to thank Ms. Juanita O's. I want to thank you for your leadership. Ms. Norman, I want to thank you as well for all of your contributions and everything that you have done in this community. I want to thank everyone that is here today as we uh, welcome home, if you will, Thaddeus Davis and his wife, Tanya Wideman Davis, who are the co-artistic directors of the Wideman Davis Dance founding partners. They're the founding partners, of the Wideman Davis Dance. And it's so important that we recognize opportunities like this here in the city of Montgomery and their residency, which began on June the 1st as a Mellon Monuments Projects grant. This grant seeks to memorialize Black life and Black culture, and it will also help fund fellowships for artists in our community and our state. And as we continue to seek and build on collaborations, both local, state, and national, this is a prime example of things that you can do when you have people who have roots here that have gone off and are coming back and bringing their experiences and their talents back to this community. It's very important that we try to retain that talent, but those that we have sent off, we want to reclaim them back to this community so we can build not only in the arts but in other areas of this community as well. One of the things that I think also is fundamental to establishing partnerships with the Mellon Foundation and Wideman Davis Dance is that from an educational opportunity standpoint, it presents a great chance for our youth to get the exposure that they otherwise would not have. And as we continue to seek ways to invest in our young people, this is just one of the avenues that we're exploring. This offers the culture that helps in attracting industry and corporations, as well as we continue to see more and more people from outside of Montgomery and outside of Alabama discover all the great things that we have here to offer. And I think it's essential to our growing tourism industry and enhancing the quality of life and the quality of place right here in our city. You know, we've talked about getting into the movie and film space. We talked about dance. We've talked about visual arts. All of these are things that enrich our community. All of these are things that we have to continue to partner with those who have the experience and the expertise in, but also we have to make sure we support them once they're here. And so that's the primary purpose for this briefing today, is to make sure that we're talking about some of the positive contributions that are happening in our city, some of the things that are changing the landscape of Montgomery as we know it, and highlighting the talent, highlighting the leadership that's making it happen, because it certainly is not me. It's people like these folks that we have here today, Thaddeus and Tanya, and what they have done and what they bring to the table, and the experience they have and the commitment they have to Montgomery. And you just can't really say that enough. When people are committed to your community and they want to give back, they want to make a difference, you can't put a dollar tag on something like that. And so I want to invite Tanya and Thaddeus to the podium to share more about this partnership and ask them to bring some remarks, and if there are any questions afterwards, we'll take those at that time. But thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for all you do to make Montgomery, the River Region, and Central Alabama a better place. All right.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Wideman Davis, and I'm co-director of Wideman Davis Dance. I'm also associate professor at the University of South Carolina in the Department of Theater and Dance, as well as African American Studies.
And I'm Thaddeus Davis, co-director of Wideman Davis Dance, associate professor at the University of South Carolina in Theater and Dance and African American Studies as well.
So we have been here since June 1st because we received a grant, the Monuments Project Mellon Foundation grant. And what that grant does is it allows us to be in 3 cities, 3-year time span. First year is Montgomery, Alabama. Second year is Harpersville, Alabama. And third year we go back to Columbia, South Carolina.
And what this grant also does, it allows us to think about Black life as a memorial. So the Monuments Project is to think about contextualizing monuments around America, erecting new monuments for people who have been left out of history, or to think about arts and culture as a way to question the existence of monuments. And so for our project, we're thinking about Black life as a monument, the everyday mundane existence of Blackness, not the celebrated always people that we know who are written in history, but the everyday people, for instance, the Selma foot soldiers, the people that are behind those famous people. And we're thinking about that as a way to be a part of the civic dialogue that is going on around the country as it relates to monuments.
A major part of this grant is we didn't want to just parachute into environments and come and do a little performance and then leave. So we are here for a year working in Montgomery. We have some amazing partners. We have the Montgomery City County Public Library as a partner, the City of Montgomery Department of Cultural Affairs, and Georgette Norman.
Historian Georgette Norman.
Yes.
But I think that one of the things that we're really excited about is the ability to be able to work in Alabama for 24 months. So though we're working in Montgomery for this first 12 months, we moved here in June, we're going to be in Harpersville next year. And as people who may not know Harpersville is kind of a road more so than a city. It's a crossing. So there is no housing there. There is no studio space there. So we've decided that we're going to live in Montgomery as we are currently living now, and be able to take the times that we're in resident to go to Harpersville daily and drive back and forth. So I say we live in Montgomery. So as you can look across to the Crest building there, Tanya and I moved into this building. The dance artists that we're working with, they too live in that building. So for 18 weeks out of this 12-month or 52-week year, we're here working. In addition, we've also had the luxury, a part of the strength of this grant is to be able to move here and to support local artists. So trying not to come to Montgomery and say, this is how you should do it, but to be a part of the arts community so that we realize that arts and culture are a part of the civic dialogue and is very important in sustaining life in a city.
And so with this grant, it was very important for us to give to artists that are working here, particularly post-COVID. So what this grant allows us to do is give 10 African-American or African diasporic artists $5,000 fellowships. And we have chosen those artists, and they are multidisciplinary. So we didn't want to give to just one discipline. We wanted to open it up because the way we work is we work through multidisciplinary work. And we would like to announce those 10 fellowship artists. And 3 of them are here. So can you stand when I read your name? Lauren Marcel, K Blocks, Kenyana Blocker, Tori Jackson, Tiwan Siwe, Ronald McCall, Michelle Browder, Winifred Akai Hawkins, Michaela McKenzie, Kevin King, and Milton Madison.
So the thing that we're doing is that we're entering into a think tank together. It's not just about giving these fellows the money and said, go make your work. Yes, that's what we're doing, that's the bigger idea. But in reality, we're entering into a think tank to think about Black community. As Georgette Norman says, Peacock Track, Centennial Hill, where I'm from, Bear Mash, on the west side of town. Where are these Black communities? When I lived here, I'd never heard of the word Peacock Track. So there's all these Black communities that existed in Montgomery that are significant. And so when we say that we should be proud of our city, how can young people be proud of the city that they might not even know? And so we want to think about this for the next till April, late March, when they're actually going to exhibit their work, as a way to be with these artists and have discussions about the historic archives that exist here in the archives of Alabama.
And there was something really, really beautiful about what you said about reclamation. And I think what this project is, it's really about reclaiming Black imagination.
So in addition to this project, 2 weeks ago, we were in Selma, Alabama. No, last weekend, we performed in Selma. So as you may see these textiles that are exhibited here, these textiles are made by the women from Upper Gee's Bend, Alabama. And their names are, thank you, Mother. Mary Louise Hall, Doris Mooney, and Elaine Spencer. Now, as I grew up in a house where they made quilts. When I went away to college and I went away to New York, I learned that they were textiles. You know, you grow up and you learn new things. But the beauty of the textiles is that we also learn that these are rare approaches to making textiles in this way. They are referred to as negative space textiles that are very popular in the Caribbean based on a religious practice. So here we take another art and craft or an idea from Alabama, and we are able to kind of see the beauty that they already knew existed and repurpose it in our transdisciplinary art making practice.
And while we're here renting this space for the time period that we're here for the Mellon Grant, we want this space to look interdisciplinary. So we work in the medium of dance, but we also have these visual art textiles. We have visual artists that we're working with. We work with film. So this is an anchor for multidisciplinary work, and we hope that it will continue when we leave. Questions?
If you can, just, sorry, if you can, Andre Morgan, WSFA, if you can, just talk a little bit about the creative space that you want to create, and you kind of spoke about it, and what you want these artists to walk away from that experience with.
Yeah, do you want to speak on that first?
Yeah, so I think that one of the things we're looking at is black community, imagining black community, or looking at images of black community. So there's a photographer
Forgetting his name.
who has over 1,500 images that he took in the 1960s. People at the Lake-Coast Club, people at the Elks Club, people living life beyond the oppressive nature of segregation. And not that we want to discount that, but as Ms. Norman says, we're more than those things as black people in Montgomery. And so how do we celebrate that? And so as we meet and have conversations, we have an archivist or a research person, Nicholas Sparks, who comes down from New York to help us grapple with that. He's working mostly in the archives and bringing us material.
And working with Georgette.
And working with Ms. Norman as well. He brings us material for us to read, to think about, to imagine. And we're not saying to the artist, you have to make a work about these topics, but in the context of the conversations, they're making their work. So the hope is that these conversations will influence what they're making.
But I think there's also something to ponder, that the mundaneness of black life has fabulosity to it.
Second question is, just talk a little bit about being from here. You all are here for a time such as this. Talk a little bit about what you're feeling about being back in Montgomery and contributing once again to a place that you came from.
Well, I'm not from here. I am from Chicago, Illinois, but my husband is.
So, being in Montgomery, I think I'll refer to it as the way I refer to it growing up. I'm from Bamash, and we were just talking about this, and like when I say that, very few people know where that actually is. So I did not say Homeview. They still go, I said the back gate of Maxwell Air Force Base. Oh, you mean at the end of Day Street before it turns into Air Force Boulevard. And they go, yeah. I said, okay, so that's where I'm from. And I grew up going to St. Jude and Carver, St. Jude High School, Cloverdale Junior High School, Daisy Lawrence that doesn't exist anymore. And so Daisy Lawrence is an example to me of the foundation of where I'm from being wiped away. That there are a lot of green fields in Montgomery, which is what I say the west side of town, but the west side now reaches almost to Eastdale Mall. And there are a lot of green holes where there used to be houses, which meant there used to be people that lived there. And there used to be neighbors and communities that existed there. And it makes me uncomfortable to go, that used to be, that my friend used to live there. So coming back to Montgomery, I'm from here, so I've been coming back here since I left in 1989. I hope to be able to be a part of the celebration of Montgomery as it revitalizes itself in the shape and the direction that it's going.
Reed, if you can you talk a little bit about where this fits in your mission and your vision as far as the city is concerned?
Yeah, I think, for us, the arts play a vital role in sharing not just the past but the present, not just the pain but also the progress. And so there are ways for us to establish why having Black Lives Matter painted right outside of this building on the fountain matters. There are reasons why we want murals that depict different moments in the city's history along vacant spaces around this entire community. And I think what they bring to the table is not only investing in young artistic talent, but also things that we can really do to support them and other initiatives like this to improve the art scene and to improve its impact. And that's why we established the Department of Cultural Affairs. It's not just about one thing or the other, it's about culture. And it's about investing and showcasing that throughout this community. And again, really bringing about the vibrancy of the city of Montgomery through the arts. And by the way, everybody from Chicago is either from Mississippi or Alabama, include all my family who lives in Chicago.
This will be the last question
Sure.
for me. If you can, Mary, just talk a little bit about what obstacles do you have to overcome, if any, to make situations like this come to fruition in Montgomery?
Well, I think that we have to let people know that we're not a museum of a city, that we're a vibrant community that has had challenges like any other community has had. Some more well chronicled for sure, but we're a city that is looking to the future and not focus so much on the past. And that's why it's important for young talent to have opportunities like this. It's important for us to reach out to foundations beyond Alabama, to reach out to philanthropy, to reach out to corporations as well, and share with them what we're doing and try to figure out a way to match their passions with the purpose of many of those in the community. So we try to tell that story every chance we get, as often as we get, about how we got here, yes, but more importantly, where we're going. And when you see Mellon Foundation and so many others, I think noticing the important gem that Montgomery is, it not only benefits us, it benefits our future. And that's ultimately what this is all about.
It's also, it's interesting or important for us to think about. So Tanya and I lived in New York City for 20 years before we moved to South Carolina to work. And making work about the South in New York is different than making work about the South in the South.
Yes.
Because every day I'm interacting with people in the South. Every day I'm walking by historic sites that are not what I'm just reading about, but I'm able to look at the building and go, oh, that's where the civil rights, the Civil War began, with the telegraph that happened at that building right there. I don't have to just read, I could go right over across the street, I could throw a rock to it. So it makes the thing real in a way that maybe reading about it alone. So that means the South is really important. When I left, I didn't have intentions of coming back because I'm from Montgomery and it was just too close to me. I couldn't understand and appreciate the beauty of Southern life and Southern existence. Family, yes, but the existence, no. And so coming back, it allows me to think about it differently and experience it differently.
And I think what we have experienced in this space is making work has been very visceral, that we can look at this landscape of Montgomery every day and create contemporary work that speaks to that.
Mayor, I've heard you over your term of leadership as our mayor talk about creating opportunities and impact on people like my son who left here and said he's not coming back. And the reason why we need to create something that makes him come back. Can you kind of speak on that? I've heard you talk about that.
Sure. I think that for many of my peers, and certainly those before, people want to go to communities where they see themselves and where they see opportunity. And for us as a city, we have to do a much better job at creating that and showcasing that here in Montgomery, so that our best and brightest, certainly if they go to Juilliard, if they go to whatever school of the arts or whatever they choose to do, they'll consider bringing that back here and maybe even starting that idea here. And I think for our community to really thrive, we have to make sure that our talent here understands that we value that. And for those that have gone to different places, that we appreciate it and we want to see them come back and contribute and partner with us in some way, because no community can thrive without artists. I don't care how far back in history of mankind you go, there's art. There are expressions of life and love and pain and sadness. So all of those things are important for us to maximize. But I think in particular, Ms. O's, when you have the type of rich history that we have here, that I don't think we really expressed and really claimed as a community full of artists who have been so impressive over the years and over the decades, really, in so many ways. And that is a way to show a different side of Montgomery. It's a way to show a different side of any community, and one that really touches creatives who bring so much to communities that it can't always be measured in terms of things that we look at economically or even financially, because you can't always measure the impact of art. You see it, you feel it, you hear it, you can touch it, you smell it, but having it here, whether it's through our library system, whether it's through our museum, whether it's through our ASF, or whether it's through grants such as this, those are things we want to continue to build on and maximize, so that those artists out there, whether they have ties to Montgomery or the state or not, will see this as a place where they can come and thrive, and they know they have the support and the backing of not only local government, but they know that they are stakeholders in this community who want to see them maximize their talents as well.